In Greek myth, sirens lured sailors to their death with beautiful songs. They weren't offering love, they were offering an illusion. And on dating apps, women are cast as sirens too, but not by choice. We're not singing to lure anyone, we're just debate in an algorithmic ocean. Do you guys remember the Bumble controversy thing? Well, last year I made a video commenting on that, and I titled it, I think, "You Won't Find Your Husband on a Dating App." Well, for some reason, I had some people that cannot use their brains and understand that just because they found love and success on a dating app, it did not invalidate what I was saying. I even said on the video that exceptions exist, but we do not live our lives on exceptions rather than rules, right? So today, I want to discuss this a bit further, and my point of view, I believe, has matured a little bit since then. So with that said, let's get started with the video, where along with the theme of women as products, I will weave in some mythology as well. Dating apps were never designed to help you find love. Okay, that sounds too cynical. Maybe the person that came up with the idea, or people that came up with the idea, had that intention. But it's not really how dating apps work today. These days, apps are engineered to keep people swiping, men more specifically. After all, they're the majority of the paying customers. And to do that, they need you. Not to find love on the app, but to exist on it long enough to keep the paying users engaged. They're designed to keep you there. They're designed to keep you swiping. And you, ladies, are the product, not the customer. Because when women leave, men stop paying. Now, no woman I know is paying for the app. I mean, maybe some are, but the majority of the paying users, again, are men. Now, before anyone clutches their pearls, this does not mean men that are paying for the app are bad people, but apps monetize their male users, not women. So let's talk about this, okay? Most women do not like being on those apps. Again, most. If you're the exception to this, please, and you're thinking of typing how you like it, and therefore I'm wrong, please, drop the main character energy. The world does not revolve around you. Anyway, most women do not like being on there for the reasons mentioned. Meeting strangers can be emotionally draining. There's so many low quality interactions that go nowhere, not to mention the possible danger that people open themselves to. And we won't even speak about the ones who are letting these men have physical access to you, because please don't. I beg of you. We need the culture to change. And what Louise Perry says, behave as if birth control isn't an option. Behave as if birth control doesn't exist. That is her advice. Most women I know are dating up exhausted. I cannot tell you the amount of times a friend of mine has downloaded the app only to delete it a few weeks later, only to repeat the process next year, maybe in a few months, every time with a bit of hope that this time it would be different. And then there's a paradox of too much attention that means nothing. Generally speaking, women compared to men receive an overwhelming amount of attention on these apps because we are the minority, okay? Because of that, women get matches so much easier. And in turn, it forces women to get pickier and pickier about who they swipe right on, because you don't want an endless amount of messages. Often the manosphere uses this as proof about how women go for the top 20% most attractive men, but this asymmetry in numbers does not really happen out in the real world. Anyway, that's a tangent. The paradox of too much attention that means nothing is that you receive so many likes, so many messages, so many emojis, but very little of it feels intentional. So many are low effort, can feel transactional, sometimes or oftentimes sexually aggressive, which was always an immediate block for me. Attention without valuable intention oftentimes feels like affirmation, or oftentimes looks like affirmation, but really it feels like exhaustion. So let's talk about the business model. Dating apps have turned into a subscription-based platform that, as mentioned, mostly monetizes male users. The premium upgrades, boosts, super likes, that revenue comes from men. So what happens when the app works? When it works as some users intend. When someone meets their person, and logs off. That's called a churn. In business terms, it's bad, which means dating apps usually have no incentive to help you find a lasting connection or a husband. Instead, they want to keep you on the app, just hopeful enough to keep swiping, just dissatisfied enough not to leave. It's a business model built on emotional limbo. In mythological terms, it's a modern-day digital labyrinth, one where women wander aimlessly, not towards love, but towards exhaustion. And instead of encountering a partner at the center, you're most likely to encounter the Minotaur, manipulation, ghosting, and dehumanization. So let's quickly get back to the Bumble controversy. When the app got a lot of people upset about how celibacy was not the answer for women as an attempt to get them back on the app. So many women were leaving the app, and guess what? Bumble doesn't make money if their most valuable product is walking off the shelves. And really quick, someone cannot be celibate or practice abstinence while dating? Does that push you out of the dating game? That's a bit sus. The mask slipped a little bit there, Bumble, almost as if saying what the app is really for. Now, that ad and some others like it with the same messaging was a part of a tone-deaf campaign that subtly mocked women for choosing celibacy or opting out of the app-driven dating market altogether. This from the so-called feminist dating app. So no, the app is not about your empowerment, but about your engagement. Your empowerment was a marketing angle. What they really want is your continued presence on the app to keep the monetization loop going. So let's talk about the algorithm and the desirability score. Some people seem to think dating apps use compatibility science to find you the best match. I genuinely don't know where people got this from, but that's just not true. Although I've heard there's an app out there that does this, just not any of the popular ones. But really, the algorithm is actually designed to show you just enough desirable profiles to keep you there, to keep you swiping, but not necessarily people who are a good match for you. It's the full-on gamification of dating. It's a slot machine with faces. This can be especially obvious when you find someone who you find attractive. You swipe and you never see them again. That was your variable reward. People get addicted to almost finding someone. So let's talk about the desirability score, because it's real even though it may be a trade secret. Obviously, dating apps don't publicly display your rating. That might be a little bit too Black Mirror, but many use a system or a variation of what's called an ELO score. It's basically a behind the scenes rating of how desirable you are on the platform. People who get swiped on more often, match with high ranking users, or fit conventional standards. They're pushed to the front of the algorithm. Everyone else, hidden, shuffled, fed low engagement profiles to keep the loop going. So not only are you not the customer, you're not even being seen equally. The app decides how visible you are. Although I will say this with a caveat. Men are the customer. They are the paying customer, but they generally are swiping more on women than the other way around. Because of the gender imbalance on the app, they are forced to be less picky than they might normally be outside in the real world. Narcissist didn't fall in love with someone else. He drowned in the image of himself. That's the economy of desire on dating apps. Endless swiping through reflections of what the app deems worthy. Now I'm going to add a little comment section clause. A little "what about me" clause. This is for the people who are tempted to type, "Well, I met my husband on Hinge, so clearly it works." Well, congratulations. You are so special. You are so lucky. If you didn't feel a temptation to type that, but you met your person on these apps, thank you. All I have to say is you found a gem. A needle in the haystack. So I love that for you. But the exception does not disprove the system. Outliers don't cancel patterns. Now, to conclude, I'm not telling you to delete the apps today, but I am saying don't treat them like neutral tools to help you find someone, because they really are not neutral. They're businesses, and businesses operate on incentives. These apps are not meant to help you find love. They're not meant to help women find love, or anyone really. They're meant to look like they do. So, here's your mythological twist Don't be the siren, at least not unknowingly, not without your choice. Don't drown in narcissist's pool like the pygmies, like the ones in my previous video. I'll link it over here. Don't keep running through the labyrinth aimlessly. If you're going to use these apps, do it with clarity and do not give these people physical access to you, if you know what I mean. Remember, they're just a swipe away from a different person, or how they like to think of it, a different flavor. If you made it all the way here, comment with your favorite movie in the comment section. Random, I know. Let's confuse people who are randomly stopping by. And also, let me know your thoughts, obviously. So cheers and see you next time.